listening to our podcast, the Slowpoke Travel podcast. We hope you enjoy our podcast. The podcast starts right now. Slowpoke Travel podcast with Buck and Camera Girl. Ta-da! Alrighty, we are officially recording.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, we're recording everywhere, and hopefully the sound will be pristine for the first time in history, except for that knock right there. But there will be no more knocks, no more pings, no more moving chairs, no more train whistles, no more claps of thunder.
What about claps of hand? I'm Camera Girl.
And I'm Buck. And this podcast is about
cooking, travel, and lifestyle.
Lifestyle. I don't know about lifestyle. That sounds a little...
Did he clap and get your attention?
No. The dog can't be in there. We have a cooking channel. We have a travel channel. And now we have a podcast. And this is going to be episode 1, although I think this is the 6th episode that we've shot.
You think so?
Yeah, because I'm not there's a sound wizard. If you're a sound wizard, if you're an audio wizard, I'm the opposite of that.
No, you were just experimenting.
Yeah.
And you have
it turned out
a level of expectation.
I am. I'm slightly,
okay.
What's the word? What is it? Compulsive? Yeah, she's not even going to say what that word is. Not that. But this podcast is going to be about house sitting because we are starting a new...
Oh, this episode, yes.
House sit. This episode is about house sitting. This is our first house sit of 2021.
And post-COVID.
Is it post-COVID?
Well, that's
hardly post-COVID.
That's part of why we chose this.
Yeah,
but we'll get into that.
Sit. We are in the mountains surrounding the Smoky Mountains, so we're in a very rural area. I don't know if you heard that. That is the sound of a dog coming in and out of a doggy door. We've got a cat. We've got chickens.
And I'll try not to be distracted by the hummingbird feeders.
Yeah, we've got
outside
lots
the
of
window.
Birds, but we have a beautiful deck outside. In fact, we tried to shoot this on the deck, but I'm so slow getting everything set up that by the time that I had it set up there, an entirely new weather pattern had moved in.
That's the mountains.
That is the
summer.
Mountains. But anyway, so we had to move it indoors, which is fine because this is a podcast. It's not really a visual
You say that,
thing.
but you were just talking about the great view, and I wanted to add a plant or color to the table, but
because we will put this up on YouTube. I think eventually, we will have the entire podcast up on YouTube.
I needed to have washed my hair.
Well, I'll put a soft focus on everything. But,
James T. Kirk look, I like it.
But we'll have these episodes up on YouTube as well as on some sort of podcast hosting platform. I don't know if it's going to be Anchor or Libsyn or I don't know what. I'll figure it out. There'll be a link down below. So if you like listening to podcasts, then you can check out the link below and you can put us in your podcast feed or podcast player or whatever you listen to. We're also going to have these things up on YouTube, although like I said, very slow internet here, so I don't think I'll have the full episode up on YouTube. I think maybe I'll just have a little a synopsis of what we're going to talk about. But, whatever I say, there will be an expanded version on the podcast. But until we have better internet, it's just going to be a taste on the YouTube channel. But for this podcast about house sitting, we are going to talk about the pros and cons of house sitting. But first of all, what is house sitting, Camera Girl?
Now there are websites, and basically it connects people who are interested in traveling to different areas or interested in being in different homes, different environments, with people that want to travel and have somebody watch their stuff. So that's what house and pet sitting is. It's bringing those two groups together.
And there's trustedhousesitters.com.
That's what we use.
Rover.com. HouseSitMexico.com.
There's region specific, and we can point to a blog that talks about 5 that we had looked at that were worldwide, although they have particular regions. But there's a bazillion sites now.
And I'll have links down below to everything that we're going to talk about. There'll probably be links over to our website and some blogs that were written. In fact, there's one over there where we have links to a number of different websites.
Yep.
But the only one that we have actually personally used is Trusted House Sitters because that was the first one that we used, and it has worked out great for us. And we've been on that site since 2017.
Wow, has it been that long already?
Yeah, I think this is maybe our 12th or 13th house sit.
Wow.
And we have done mostly multiple month house sits. So we've done a couple of 4-month house sits, some 3-month house sits. We've done house sitting in Canada, in Mexico, in Chile. We don't even know how long this house sit is going to be because it's very open-ended, which is one of the reasons that we got this house sit, because we're super flexible, and so that flexibility kind of gives us an edge, when it comes to applying for house sits. But anyway, that's a subject for a different podcast, because we're going to talk about the pros and cons. 3 pros, 3 cons. We each made a list separately. And so we'll see what you said, and we'll see what I said. So we'll do the pros first. What are your pros for house sitting?
I think there's plenty of websites that talk about pros and cons in general. I said personally 3 benefits and 3 challenges. And my top benefit of house and pet sitting is meeting great new people, great animals, and in a more intimate environment, their home. So you've got their books, you've got their favorite colors, or you not to say you can't be authentic with people wherever you meet them, whether it's work or a party or in a park, it can happen, but there's something lovely about meeting great people and you're meeting them in their space. That to me has been the biggest benefit. To me, you get a jump start on knowing a little more about them. And I enjoy that.
Well, that sounds very lofty.
Lofty?
That sounds very...
That is my top benefit, Buck.
Well, okay.
What's your top?
Is that it's potentially great value.
You know what?
Huh?
I believe that is your top one.
Because
really?
it saves us a lot of money. We would not be able to do the traveling that we're doing now without house sitting.
Well, we would, except you would be moaning and rolling on the floor because of the money that it would cost.
There's no way we would be staying in this home in this location for potentially
2 months.
A month or multiple months.
If we were to pay the Airbnb or the vacation home prices, you would keel over.
Yes. Monthly Airbnb properties in the area, the price would be, and it would cost between $4,000 and $7,000 for monthly rent on this property. Yes.
And it easily went higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is something that we couldn't do if we weren't house sitting, unless we wanted to go broke or something, or spend a lot more money. No, well, you're like, yeah.
So we would do that. Okay, so for you, value.
Yeah, definitely.
I respect
value.
that. That is your top benefit.
We would be staying, if we weren't here at this house sit, we'd be staying in a hostel, talking to Chad and Amber about what their majors are.
You would. We would have separate adventures.
But what are you talking about? We could stay in a hostel with the both of us. We could get a private room, maybe $40 a month if it's not too luxurious a hostel. No,
$40 a month? I was going to say, I don't know what place.
I thought we were back in Mexico for a second.
I thought we were back in the 1900s.
So, you like it because of the wonderful people, and I like it because I'm cheap.
Not just the wonderful people. You get a jump start on some sort of relationship.
That is true.
I do agree with you. It's not like, they're all our buddies. But you know what? We have stayed in contact with people because we have tended to choose folks that their profile and then Skype or whatever conversations we've had with them, they're great people to connect with.
I see what you're saying now, and I think you're right. I see.
I'm right. My benefit is right. It's right for me.
Because you're talking about like-minded people. We sort of find people that we're simpatico with because they are doing the house sitting thing and we're doing the house sitting thing. So immediately you've got some kind of common ground. We like to travel. They're looking for a house sitter because they like to travel.
Give you my second benefit.
All right.
I have
so what's
3.
number 2? The number 1 is that you love people. Number 1 for you. Number 1 for me is that I'm cheap.
Okay, so you quit trying to paraphrase it because you screw it up. Okay. So number 2, how are you going to screw this one up? Inspiration for your own lifestyle. In talking with people about their attitudes, sometimes just things they have in their house, it's like, this is so cool. Where we're staying right now, I had never seen this type of garden tower gardening where you use worms in the center, and I've seen composting towers before, but anyway, you get inspiration for your own lifestyle. As I say, in terms of attitude, but in terms of one time I found a great can opener that was different. Okay, that's not so exciting. But any kind of inspiration for your own lifestyle, and I know, again, you can be open to how you want to live wherever you're at. But house sitting and pet sitting, again, you're in their intimate environment, and so you can get inspiration for, oh, that's cool how X, Y, and Z fits together. Or that's a cool can opener, but... So inspiration for their lifestyle, for my lifestyle. Oh,
you are right.
Me. Oh my God, I'm not right about my opinion. It's just
I like
opinion.
that. That's a good one from number 2. Inspiration. I agree with that, because you do see how different people live, and it does give you a different perspective.
There's a hummingbird. Okay, what's your second one?
My second one is fun and exciting.
That house and pet sitting is fun and exciting?
House and pet sitting is fun and exciting. And I'll give you an example just from yesterday, how exciting it can be.
Okay.
Because
Mr. Salesperson.
The thing is, and this is another reason I like Trusted House Sitters, is because I have the app on my phone and I can kind of put some of the parameters of the things I'm looking for. Like right now, we're kind of focused on house sits only in the United States because we're not interested in traveling internationally.
Right now.
And we like multiple month house sits. So I have United States as a destination, and I have multiple months. And yesterday we had 2 house sits appear. Well, actually there was a few other house sits appeared, but there were 2 that caught our eye. And one was a multiple month. It was basically the entire winter along the coast of Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was another one, which was a month-long house sit down in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
And we both looked at those, and we were both kind of excited about them, the idea of them. And so we talked about it, and we thought about it. And then we decided not to apply for different reasons, because the dates were kind of far away. The Oregon one was kind of, that would have been a great distance. The New Orleans one wasn't exactly the location we would have preferred. I mean, they were both potentials, and we talked about it, and we could easily have applied for either one, depending on, we might have been in the right mood or frame of mind, or something about it might have clicked, and we would have applied and then potentially got it. So that's exciting, because yesterday we woke up, we had breakfast, and through the course of the day, we might have ended the day, with a confirmed house sit in Oregon for the winter, or a confirmed house sit in New Orleans. So we woke up yesterday without a clue that by the end of the day we may have already planned a trip for a different part of the country without having thought about it at all, except for bling, it popped up on the phone and we made those plans.
That's true.
So that's exciting. So we get up every day, and depending on what pops up on the phone, we could be anywhere in the United States in the coming months, and maybe anywhere in the world, once we start looking.
And even the discussions are fun, because it sort of helps us to realize what state of mind we're in. Oh, next few months, then maybe we want something like X or Y. What attracted us to those places? So even though we didn't apply, the conversations were fun.
Yes.
So I can understand that.
So that's it. I think I've talked about that before in a video. It's like gambling for me, because you're taking a chance. You're spinning the wheel, and you don't know where the ball's going to drop. And so that's the way house sitting is. You don't know what's going to come up.
Well, and that sort of parallels my third one, which is experiencing a new place, a new city. So it's not that. Well, I guess it is differently. I like that it can take you to different places, and you've got this comfortable place from which to explore a new environment. And a lot of times we'll use house sitting to find an urban place. Now, this is an exception because we wanted to be sort of cautious and possibly isolated depending on what happens the rest of the year. But a lot of times we'll pick a place that we want to roam around. And anyway, so my third benefit is being able to go to a new place, experience a new locale from a comfortable environment and a comfortable home base.
Like here, where we're at now, if we were to come here and stay in Gatlinburg,
right,
or Asheville or some town where we would go and just get a motel room or even an Airbnb, there's a certain generic quality to it.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
if you're going to a home, it's very unique,
Yes.
and it's a home that's being lived in.
Yes.
And, since house sitting is more often than not pet sitting, you have animals that have a lot of personalities.
Yes.
And that can be fun. I mean, it can be a challenge.
That's responsibility.
Exactly. So, you got to know what you like and make sure that you pick house sits that you are pretty sure you potentially could gel in that situation. But it's going to be an added dimension of activity that could really make it more interesting than staying at the Motel 6.
Hey, we are at a place now with chickens, and I thought we both had been around chickens around our grandparents. Is this the first time you've ever had to scrape chicken poop?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I have been around chickens.
But you never
But
had
I was
to
a little kid.
But you weren't asked to gather the eggs and sweep out the place.
I've never actually
look for snakes in the rafters.
Well, yeah, I probably have looked for snakes because I've spent plenty of time in barns and kind of stuff like that, and that's why it's kind of spooky to me because I associate that kind of thing with snakes.
Wow. Yeah, me too, but it's not spooky.
But this is the first house sit. I think we applied for house sit. We've applied for 2 house sits that had chickens that we didn't get.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot
the first
both one was in Seattle and the other one was on Vashon Island.
That's right.
And that one we actually interviewed for that house sit, and we thought we had it.
But you know what? It doesn't matter. But those were great people too.
Yeah, they were great people, but we didn't get that house sit, and probably
You were
it was
sad.
because I spent half of the interview asking what to do when the chicken died.
Yeah. Sometimes Buck can get a little inside his head, and I can relate.
Well, chickens
I do
die.
too in different.
Chickens die very easily.
Okay.
Chickens have high heart attacks. Chickens die of anxiety. Everything kills
Maybe
a chicken.
I was going to say maybe foxes or
Foxes,
hawks.
mice. A
No.
robust mouse can
No.
take down a chicken.
No.
Chickens will die for no reason.
All right. What's your third benefit of house sitting?
My third benefit.
Whew, I took us down that rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
You did. Speaking of rabbit holes, we got a rabbit back here and a rabbit out there.
Oh yeah, and tadpoles and all kind of goodies.
Yeah. Lots to see around here. And my third one, did we just do your third one? So this is the final pro. And
Yes.
mine is basically one of overlap. I said, see how different people live. It's one of the benefits because we do get to literally see how other people are existing. And sometimes it's surprising. And usually, at least with the house sits that we picked, it's kind of inspiring because it gives us ideas of how we might want to live our life.
Yeah.
So anyway, as far as the pros go, I mean, you could go on and on and on, at least as far as I'm concerned. The fact that we've been doing it now for 3+ years, obviously, there are a lot of pros for us. But along with the pros, there are some potentially
Challenges.
negative aspects to consider.
Yeah, there can be challenges. All right, why don't you
I'll
start
with that.
Yeah.
Number one, for me, with the negatives of house sitting, is the fact that there are no guarantees.
That's life.
I
I'm sorry to tell you.
I know it's life, but it's sort of magnified when you're house sitting.
Okay.
Because there are no guarantees. Like we had an Airbnb booked down in Miami. We were going to go down there and stay,
5 days.
and see some of your family.
Yeah.
And but we had some family stuff come up, and we were unable to go.
Right.
So we had something that occurred for us, and so we couldn't make our trip.
Right.
That's life.
Right.
But if you're house sitting, you might book a house sit with somebody else, and everything might be great with you, but they might have something come up that affects their trip, and now whatever is happening with those folks is affected you. So now the house sit is potentially not going to happen. Where if you're staying at a motel or an Airbnb or something like that, you can get another room. Oh, Mr. So-and-so, Buck, I'm sorry, but, the shower's flooded and, the book room we had booked for you, so we are going to go ahead and upgrade you and put you in the pet house. So you'll just get moved around. Okay. But you still, if you're going to Las Vegas and something happens to your room, you're still going to Las Vegas. You'll just be in a different room. But with a house sit, you got a lot more potential problems that could jeopardize your trip. So I feel like it's a little more tenuous. So you definitely have to be more flexible for when things don't work out.
Now that's funny, because for challenges, I said the dates aren't as set as when you're in an Airbnb or a hotel or a motel. And for all the reasons you said, but it can be longer than you expect and it can be shorter than you expect. Yeah. And if you only have 2 days, it can make a huge difference. But even if, like, this is a perfect example where pet and house sitting for someone that they're taking a cross-country trip with someone, and with fires and different things happening, what they're expecting to be a 2-month trip, don't know. So yeah, the dates just aren't as set. That can be a challenge if you have no other plans. Now we feel pretty comfortable that if we need to, we'll find an Airbnb. We have friends that we want to go visit sometime anyway. We have family in the Southeast. And so that's funny. That was my top challenge.
Yeah, so that's both of ours. Is the fact that there are
dates
no
just
guarantees.
Aren't set. Well, the dates.
Lots of things can happen, so you have to be very flexible to maximize your potential success with house sitting. Just this house sit, like you said, we have no idea when it's going to end. It could end 2 weeks from now.
Right.
It could end 8 weeks from now. We don't know.
Right.
Hopefully we'll get about a week's notice. When they're going to be returning.
Right.
And then we will have to, make our upcoming plans based on that, and we're going to have to be very flexible.
When you say no guarantees, did you also think about, because yours is more generic, mine was really about the dates. Were you thinking about, like, if something happens, like if something happens to the house, there's a burst pipe, like happened to us in an Airbnb, we don't call somebody else. Is that what you mean too? It's like we're responsible.
No. I'm saying that we might have a house sit. Maybe let's say we were coming to this house sit because the person that owns this house was going to go over to Europe and hike. What is that trail over there? The Camino de Real, the Real de Camino.
We should know by that.
We should know because it's on our bucket list.
Yeah.
But let's say they were going to go over their hike and they needed us to house sit. Well, let's say 2 days before the house sit starts, they tumble down the stairs and
so it is dates.
Now the house sit's kaput because they're not hiking anywhere. They don't need a house sitter. And sorry, you only got 2 days notice, but that's just life.
Okay.
So you got to go into it expecting the unexpected and have plan B and C and D. Number 2.
Okay.
On my con is it might not be what you expect. So you might book a house sit and have expectations about what it's going to be, and when you get there, it might not be what you expect.
What example is in your head?
We went and interviewed for a house sit, and these folks gave us a tour around the home, and it was beautiful. It was an ocean view, just sort of a vacation destination home. So I sort of had vacation in my head when we went to do this house sit. And it was actually quite time consuming, because of the pets and the care of the home. We were actually doing a lot around the house, and it was sort of a challenge. It wasn't a vacation at all. It was a great house sit, but I went into it thinking with a vacation attitude. And so early on I figured out house sitting that it's not a vacation, it's a job. And some house sits, there are breeze, and some house sits, require a lot of attention. Like this house sit that we're at here, there's a dog, there's a cat, and there's chickens. It probably takes us a couple hours every day to do what we need to do.
But it's low maintenance.
It's fantastic. It's super duper. We're loving this house sit. This is a great house sit.
Great vibe.
But if you didn't come into it with the right attitude, then you might look at what you have to do while you're at the home. It might feel like a job if you don't expect it, because it is a job.
It is, but the other thing too, you had that expectation, and then I was finishing up a job in that city, and so I wasn't available to do a good share of things, and you were feeling hyper responsible. So I think that was another thing that threw it off. But you are right, because there are responsibilities. yeah, there's more wiggle room with the expectation. Okay, that's funny because that was the example I thought of too. So I was just curious.
Yeah,
okay.
but it could be anything. You have to make sure that your expectations match the reality, which is, that's not always going to be a given. But
Right.
you just have to make sure that you're not so out of whack that you're disappointed or frustrated with the situation. Because, if it's a long house sit, that's going to suck.
My second potential challenge with house sitting is that if you've committed to a house or pet sit, then there might be something else that comes up that's also important to you, like a family obligation, that you're not able to do that unless it's really dire.
But that's not a drawback to house sitting. That's a drawback to anything, like any job that you
That
have.
is my second challenge about us doing house and pet sitting. So what's your third one?
Okay. I think yours needs a little bit of work. Okay.
My opinion is
my
mine.
third
Okay.
one, maybe it's kind of like your second one,
Okay.
but my third one is it's a big responsibility.
Oh, that's a challenge? We don't have any problem with responsibility. Here, I'll argue with you about yours now.
But I'm just saying it is a big responsibility, and then that can kind of weigh on you depending on the situation.
That's true, like you asking those people a million questions about it when their chickens die.
Yes, and also, we've house sat a couple of times for some very elderly cats.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
a big
and a dog.
responsibility because
And an elderly dog. Yeah.
if you're taking care of an animal that has health challenges, that could be some added stress.
It can be, but you know what was great in all three situations is
Yeah.
and I agree with you that yes, that can be a challenge, but in all three situations, the folks were just fantastic about saying, we're willing to discuss it. If X happens,
Yes.
this is what we would prefer, but we respect, things may happen, quickly.
Because we've kept in touch with some of the people we've house sat for,
Yes.
and we house sat for some folks who had an elderly cat,
Yes.
and it was fine during our house sit, but then in a later house sit with another house sitter, the cat passed away while the house sitter was
Well,
there.
even while we were there were a couple nights I didn't sleep because I stayed up with the cat.
Yes.
I mean, we've done that, you're right, with another cat and another dog. But you know what was funny is, it was responsibility, but I felt very good about how we handled it, how we stayed in contact with people, because that's life too, and we knew going in what the issues were, and they knew. I mean, nobody wants to get the call that says, your cat's not doing so well, and here's what I'm thinking, what do you think?
You don't want to start the house sit with 3 pets, and then when they come back, you've only got 2. But
That's
that's
true.
one of the drawbacks to like doing the multiple month house sits like we do. So if there is an aged pet with some health concerns and you're there for months at a time, then it's like spinning that roulette wheel. The odds
you
are
say
different.
that, but also if you're there for months, you know more about the animal's personality, and so maybe you can be more comfortable to know this is a nuance, this is a regular nuance, this is anyway.
Yeah.
All right, is that your?
Yeah. So that was my third one.
Okay, now I want you to be quiet for a minute.
Okay.
Because my third one is a little more specific.
So this is your third and final card.
Yeah. You or your partner, if you're doing it 2 people, may feel the responsibility so much that you miss some exploring opportunities. Now, hold on. We had an opportunity to take a day trip to a different part of the country that I wanted to see, you wanted to see. They already had, we met the neighbors, we even had dinner with the neighbors. The neighbors were going to watch the animal. It was a single animal, it was low maintenance. And so it was okay with everyone, but one of us said, absolutely not. And so that part was funny. The challenge can be, although you and I have to agree on a lot of it, or else we wouldn't be able to do any of this lifestyle. That was a huge challenge because I also feel very responsible. I was did not understand
but
that whole thing.
This was when we were in Chile.
Yes.
And so we went down to Chile expecting to be there for many, many months. We were going to spend some time touring in South America. And this house sit was, 5 weeks long?
Yes.
So that was going to be our jumping off point.
That's true.
In South America. So I didn't know why we had to leave the house sit to go to the coast for a couple of days or a day, when at the end of that house sit, we could go anywhere we wanted. Why wouldn't we go at the end of the house sit?
We already knew we were not going to be able to stay. And you're right, that's an important distinction, if that were still true. But at the time, when it was again suggested to us we could do it, we knew we needed to be back in the States at the end of 5 weeks. Again, it was a challenge. I'm not like, oh, but I had to, when I was thinking about it, because for a while I couldn't think of a third challenge.
So that's still in your craw. It's stuck in your craw.
No, but it was interesting because as many things as I think we've been able to successfully negotiate when we disagree, that one, I was just amazed I couldn't convince you. I really was. I was, you don't.
So your third drawback is that
is the
your
person
partner,
I'm traveling with,
i.e. me, is too committed to the safety and comfort of the pets.
Or too much of a worry work. Or too much.
Okay. Well, I did not know that it chafed you to that degree. And
give me a break. Of course you did. You gooberhead.
Well, I didn't know you're harboring it now years later. It's coming up as your third con, is that the inflexibility of your travel partner.
That's not what I said.
We'll let the court decide. So that's it. That's our pros and cons. We hope you like this podcast, and if you do, like it and all that stuff. But leave us some comments and questions and whatnot, because I think that we're going to maybe make that part of the format of the podcast.
That would be fun.
Yeah, because we get a lot of great comments on our cooking channel and on our travel channel, and so we're hoping that this way we might be able to interact more with comments. So if you do leave a comment and it's entertaining and clever and funny enough to be worthy.
Oh, don't put the pressure on it.
I'm just saying, it's got to be a good comment.
No, it doesn't.
Got to be a good comment.
Good in whose terms?
Mine. I'm the judge.
Oh, I think I'm tired now.
Okay. But let's wrap it up here. Okay. This is a little something I wrote. This podcast and the videos, everything we do is sponsored by you, the listeners and the viewers. So now we have a Patreon account over at patreon.com/BuckandCameraGirl. And I'll have a link down in the show notes along with all other links pertaining to anything of interest that we talk about in the podcast. So check out those links. And if you'd like to support what Camera Girl and I do, then you can head over to Patreon and throw us the price of a cup of coffee every month. We don't care if it's the price of a classic drip or double mocha soy latte. Whatever you buy us, we will drink it and we will be thrilled. So we've got the cooking channel, our Slowpoke Travel channel, this podcast. We're up to our elbows in internet stuff. So if you like what we do, you want to show your support, then we will certainly appreciate it. Alrighty, that is it. Click, subscribe, review, share all over the global internet sphere. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time on the Slowpoke Travel Podcast.